Hey everyone, it's March 8th, 2017. It's 8:30 at night, and I wanted to read this article that Dennis Michael Lynch, also referred to as DML. I wanted to read to you this article that he wrote today. It's on his website, dennismichaellynch.com, Las Vegas, Nevada. Dennis Michael Lynch, known better as DML, took the stand today as a witness in the first of three trials set to take place in relation to the standoff between the Bundy family, their supporters, and the federal government. Lynch was kept on the witness stand all day on Wednesday. He answered numerous questions from the U.S. Attorney after the jury was shown a long list of video clips DML captured during the event that took place in Bunkerville on April 12, 2014. DML, who at the time was a regular guest on the Kelly File, Fox News channel, was filming the events in Nevada for an upcoming segment to air on Megyn Kelly's show. Lynch explained in his testimony that he was there on that day as a journalist, but quickly changed hats to be a peacekeeper when he saw the event getting dangerous. He characterized the situation as uneasy when protesters and the BLM were separated by only 100 yards of desert known as the Wash. I feared that people could be shot, explained Lynch. When asked why he moved towards the BLM by himself, telling protesters to stay put until he returned, Lynch explained that he wanted to try to settle things down. We couldn't hear what the BLM was saying, DML told the court. They were blasting a message through a megaphone, and it sounded like they were saying, if you move forward, you will be shot. So I wanted to speak to the BLM before it got to that, responded DML. The wind was so bad, and the use of the megaphone only made things worse. We could only hear some of the words coming from the BLM, and because the people behind me were screaming, it only made it more difficult, DML testified. A video of Lynch telling the protesters to quiet down was shown. When asked by the prosecutor if he obeyed the BLM's demand that he move back, Lynch said he kept moving forward because he wanted them to know he didn't have a gun. I lifted my shirt and said, I don't have a gun. I told them, I am the press and I'm from New York. I don't have a gun, explained Lynch. The video clips shown to the jury included one in which Lynch can be seen approaching the BLM as they pointed rifles in his direction. In one of the video clips, Lynch screamed at the BLM, "Why won't you listen to me? We can't hear you. These people do not want to get hurt. They don't want to be shot. Please allow me to approach so this does not end in bloodshed." Prosecutors tried to establish there being no real threat to Lynch or the protesters. Listening to the video here again today, did you ever hear the BLM say they would shoot you? Asked the U.S. Attorney. Lynch replied, in the video you played here today, it's easier to hear that they are saying because it's what was captured by my camera mic, but my two ears aren't microphones and I could not hear what my camera was capturing. I could not clearly hear what they were saying because it was so windy, but it sounded like they were saying we could be shot. But even what is heard here today, the audio contains so much wind that I cannot tell what every word being said is. Then Lynch explained to the jury that he did not have a wind protection mic on his camera that day. Shoddy camera work on my end, he said. During cross-examination, Lynch was asked by a defense lawyer if he felt fear as he approached the BLM alone. Lynch responded, define fear. He was asked, did you fear you could be shot? Absolutely, said DML. The day ended with DML and the U.S. Attorney getting into a heated exchange when DML was asked to state whether he feared being shot after he retreated from the fence where the BLM stood with guns. Lynch said he did until he got to higher ground under the bridge. Then a shoving match of words between the defense attorney and the prosecution and Lynch began as DML tried to get out a longer explanation as to what he meant by having fear. Ultimately, DML was not given the chance to explain to the court. He concluded, "I feared I would be shot. That's it." Another point of interest was during cross-examination when Lynch was asked about there being any leadership on the side of the BLM. Lynch responded, "There was no leadership." Lynch was then asked about preliminary interviews between himself and the U.S. Attorney and the FBI. One of the defense lawyers asked DML if he had seen a copy of the notes made by the FBI after the interview. Lynch replied, "Yes, they showed them to me last night." The defense lawyer asked, "Did those notes accurately depict your interview?" Lynch responded, "No, they did not, and I made notations throughout the document stating where the report was inaccurate." Lynch was asked how much of his video was shown to the jury by the prosecution. Lynch said only 50%, maybe less. Lynch said he handed over all his video footage to the FBI after receiving a subpoena. And there's also a video posted. He says, "Here is a scene from DML's movie, A Day at Bundy's, which shows him approaching the BLM alone." And one thing I took from this article that was written is at the very end, he pretty much confirms what I've heard from others that have been sitting in to hear the testimony. Lynch said that about 50% or less of the video footage he turned over to the FBI has actually been shown in court. And this is what others have been saying too, that the prosecution is cherry-picking bits and pieces out of video footage and comments made on Facebook and other social media sites to make their case. And the jury is not hearing the rest of the evidence. If you view the rest of the evidence, you'll clearly see that the government's narrative is false. So I appreciate Mr. Lynch showing up and testifying, and that that he also verified that even after his interview with the U.S. Attorney and the FBI, that he had to go through that written, the documentation that they made after the interview. He went through that document to show where they also erred in the report, that it didn't reflect the actual interview that he had with them. So, and this seems to be a pattern that we've seen throughout this case. And I know it's also happened in Oregon, but it is most ridiculous here in Nevada, where these government agents and the prosecution, they have got it so wrong, and they are spreading so many lies during this entire case, that I just pray that this jury in Nevada sees the truth, and that they begin to question themselves why they're not receiving or being able to look at all the evidence. Why is the prosecution cherry-picking through the evidence, even evidence that they submitted to the court? They're arguing and fighting over what they want the juror to see. So I hope the jury in this Nevada case is also questioning that in their minds, why they are not allowed to see all of the evidence. So I hope you guys have a good evening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.